No, this is reflecting different opinion surveys on the same issue.
Mm-hmm. Let's move to another issue, which is also in Al-Ahram and other national newspapers, and that is, of course, the adjourned case of the previous president, Hosni Mubarak, until the mid of July, and both his sons Ala and Gamal are supposed to be released from this case, but they are still, of course, in custody on other cases considered illicit gains and cases of corruption. A lot of people are looking at the case of previous President Hosni Mubarak and his son from a different perspective, or with a different eye now, as the events have changed. Yesterday, there have been a lot of comments by people who were actually attending or watching this case, whether it's on television or over there. They start saying, well, we see now things from a different perspective, and it's not only Mubarak that have caused corruption to the country, but we are also witnessing a lot of corruption now, and we are living in worse days and so forth. I mean, these were comments that I've heard personally from many, many, many people. And actually, people now feel sorry for him, which is a very strange comment to hear from many citizens as well. How do you evaluate this whole situation and the case?
As you know, transitions are not easy. They are very difficult periods of time. And if you mismanage them from the beginning, you will have people who are not happy with the results. Sometimes people compare the present with previous situations. So security-wise, economic-wise, things were much better under autocracy of Mubarak than under the democracy of Dr. Morsi. We have seen such cases before in Egypt. Remember when the monarchy was overthrown in 1952, you had also people longing for the time of the monarch. If you are following Iran news, for example, you will see a lot of Iranians. You have more than 5 million Iranians abroad. They long all the time for the time of the Shah. And you go on Facebook, a lot of pictures of the Shah's time and how things were in Iran, and compare it to the present situation in Iran. Unfortunately, of course, the Muslim Brotherhood and the management, plus also the SCAF management of the transition, were not up to the standard of the Egyptian revolution, and that's why you have some people disappointed with what happened. Now the revolutionaries felt guilty that they were responsible for bringing Dr. Morsi. Many of the leftist revolutionaries voted Dr. Morsi in power because he promised that he would realize the objective of the revolution, whereas the other candidate, they fear that he would reproduce the old system. Now, those revolutionaries are now trying to repent by creating this movement, Rebel, to try to redirect the objectives and the course of the revolution toward its original objectives. Now, if you come and look at the trial of Mubarak, the Egyptian revolution is described as a revolution of pacts, deals. Deals for the SCAF to leave, safe exit, deals with the economic fulul, the business people of Mubarak, because they need the money. Mubarak, of course, his trial has a lot of external elements involved. You have veto from Gulf states, from a lot of countries against capital punishment, against big, severe punishment to him. His sons have a lot of money, or allegedly have a lot of money abroad, and the government cannot give them. So it seems they want to bargain with them regarding the release in return for getting the money. And that's why they don't release them. So you get acquitted in one case, but then you still have to face other cases. They are symbols, again, of the old regime, so they cannot be released easily for many reasons, because it would feed the opposition against the Muslim Brotherhood and Dr. Morsi, despite the fact that he cannot intervene,
in judicial cases.
in a way that people imagine, and that's why I don't see that this case is going to end as people expect, because we don't have evolutionary tribunals.
But are people still interested with following up on the case as they were at the beginning? I mean, they're not enthusiastic. That's what I've noticed.
You have a lot of people who are disappointed with the current regime, and so they compare and contrast, and say the status of the Copts, the women, the economic situation, of course, much better, and that's why they are not happy. But this is very typical of any transition. It is not stable. It is not a happy, comfortable movement. You will always have chaos.
Yeah, let's move to another article again, which has also been the issue for the past 3 weeks here in Egypt since it started. And on Al Akhbar newspaper, we're going to talk about the issue of the Nile Dam renaissance by Ethiopia and the feedback that it has been, that was received by this issue, not only in Egypt but also in Ethiopia. People are protesting, people are very angry at the Egyptian statements that is reaching them one way or the other. President Morsi did hold a press conference, and he did talk, or his official spokesman did talk about that issue in particular, and he did say that all options are open for dealing with this situation, and all options varies from the minimum diplomatic, political dealing with the issue to the military interference, which was very wide and vast as usual for people to understand. Ethiopia is going on with its project, and people are fearing that that would affect Egypt, even if it is by 1%, because they're already having a lot of other problems concerning electricity and water. And not only that, but we are also seeing other African countries who are starting up similar projects. People are now, experts, looking for various other options that Egypt could manage to face the water deficit, or if I may say. How do you evaluate this picture?
There is a committee called Water Security Committee, and it is trying to investigate options. Let's say that the military option is the worst option, and it is not guaranteed. It would lead to international repercussions. It would lead to very bad situations. So I hope that Egyptian politicians stop talking about military options. I don't think that it is a serious, credible option.
For the Ethiopians, or in fear that the United States would interfere in this case and the NATO, and then
of course,
that would be a problem for Egypt's national security?
It would be very bad for Egypt with its African relations. It will have also international intervention, and I don't think the military option is a valid one. We have to think scientifically. There are a lot of technical solutions to problems. The money that you spend on a military operation, you can spend it on
purifying water, for instance.
Purifying water, desalination, a lot of projects can be done. New dam that can help save the money.
Yes.
Population control that nobody talks about in Egypt. I cannot accept that Egypt is now 92 million, and we are growing in a very alarming rate. We stopped our family planning projects. Last year, for example, we grew 2.6 million. This is the biggest population rise in Egypt since 20 years. We have to be serious about our behavior, how we are wasting money, how we are wasting the water and resources, the way we are managing people. We have many projects we can do in Sudan. The Jonglei Canal that had been suspended, it should be revived. We have good relationship with Sudan. Why don't we go and revive this project? If we can get other projects with Ethiopia, Uganda, Congo, the Nile Basin, we have a regional organization.
We have the Red Sea and we have the Mediterranean Sea. We can purify water.
We have regional Nile, regional cooperation
with the African countries.
Grouping, the Nile Basin countries. We can work. I mean, it was established in 1999 to manage the water, the Nile water, in a peaceful, cooperative way. We can manage and negotiate with the Ethiopians, and even help them in building a new dam that would save some water for the Egyptians, and do it, and we pay for that.
Yeah.
And some of the Arab countries and even international organization can help.
Yeah.
technical assistance can come from countries that have knowledge on how to build dams and save water. So there are a lot of technical things that we can do that would save water. Now, I don't want also to use the Ethiopian issue and make Ethiopia an external enemy.
Yes,
I
exactly.
mean, we
because
don't
it's
wanna
their right to benefit their country and fix their economy.
We need to maintain our relationship with the Ethiopians. At one point, we were externalizing our problems and talking Israel is the enemy and Israel is the one. If there is some dirty street, it is Zionism. No, stop blaming the others for your own problems, your own shortcomings. I cannot escape from internal problems in Egypt and try to inflate the issue with Ethiopia. It is a problem, but can be solved. It is not a problem that will be solved by the military, by trying to override internal differences and say, okay, let's unite now and then talk about that and ignore the problems inside the country. So it is very important that we look at the matter from a technical point of view and see what are technical solutions available, what can we do with them, and then we discuss it with all our neighbors in the Nile Basin countries.
Yes, and finally, Dr. Saeed, briefly, we're going to be talking about the situation in Turkey and riot police who have stormed an Istanbul protest in Taksim Square on Tuesday, and they fired volleys of tear gas at the firework, hurting demonstrators after the Turkish leader Recep Tayyip Erdogan warned that he had no more tolerance for the mass demos against his government. The protests in Turkey quickly had accelerated. The demands of the protesters have accelerated in the past few days, and the police and the army and the government in Turkey are very much in ignorance towards the demonstrators. Actually, they are enforcing their power on them. And how far do you think the situation could further deteriorate in Turkey if the president and the government continues to be stubborn towards the demonstrators?
As I mentioned when we started the program, I mentioned any ruler facing an uprising has two options.
But Turkey was very successful model during the past few years since Erdogan ran office, and we were actually using Turkey as an example the whole time.
And of course, those who are not happy with Islamic model are, picking on this story. Erdogan enjoys still the military support. I don't see a big uprising in the countryside. It's still an urban issue up till today. He is managing in a way, he's making a mix of diplomatic gesture here and there and also violence, oppression. If this escalates, it can become a big movement. If it still remains only in Istanbul and some urban areas, it may decline. You have also external powers who are interested in inflaming the Turkish situation for many reasons. Turkey had been playing a big role, and in Syrian situation, also in Iran. And so you have many forces who would be interested in destabilizing Turkey, but I don't know if this is going to succeed in the end.
We'll have to wait and see, of course, what is happening in the next few days, because anything is predictable. Once again, we'd like to thank you very much, Professor Saeed Sadek, political sociologist, for joining us here on the Press Review in The Breakfast Show. And for those who are interested in the world of sports, Hani Saif is going to take us a tour of what happened during the past 24 hours.